Coming to you from the 91 Sports Network studio, Western New England's voice for sports. Your host, Marquez Lopez.
All right, welcome to the 91 Sports Network, Western New England's home for sports along the I-91 corridor. I am Marquez, your host and voice of the 91 Sports Network, and thank you all for tuning in to our very first Monday morning show. And on the show, every Monday, we're going to start the same exact way, people, by looking back at the weekend that was in New England sports. Beginning with the Celtics. The Celtics played twice over the weekend, beginning Friday with a win over the Dallas Mavericks. And the headline of the night was, of course, the return of Jason Tatum, coming back from an Achilles tear that kept him off the court for nearly 300 days. Tatum's night started cold. He missed his first 6 shots, his first 3 three-pointers, but eventually he settled in and finished with a double-double. 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists was the line, while also playing the 4th most minutes on the team. Great news. But while Boston got one player back, they also lost one. Trade deadline acquisition Nikola Vucevic left the game after just 2 minutes with a broken right ring finger. Reports are saying he'll miss 3 to 4 weeks with surgery, which fortunately, that time frame for Boston should still line him up for the playoff run. So dodged a bullet there. Hopefully he can get back in time. Now on Sunday, the Celtics took on the 4th-ranked Cleveland Cavaliers and walked away with another double-digit win. Tatum built off his first game back with a 20-point performance. But the big storyline for me personally continues to be Jaylen Brown. On Saturday, Jaylen put up 24, 7, and 7. On Sunday, he put up 23, 9, and 8. He's just continuing to look like the guy on this Celtics team while Tatum works his way fully back. And honestly, I expect that dynamic to stick. You know, the 26 Celtics are Jaylen Brown's team. He has said this much, essentially. He has said this is the most fun he's ever had playing in the NBA. And let's not forget, he's won a championship and was the MVP. And this year, in which there is no Jason Tatum, is his favorite season of his career. Listen, this is Jaylen Brown's team, and I expect the dynamic to stay that exact same way. He is the alpha. Tatum will be the beta, and I think it's going to work out just fine. But anyways, quick tease, keep an eye out. I've got an article coming out soon on the Celtics playoff outlook and what I think Boston's path through the East is going to look like. Now to the Bruins. The Bruins played back-to-back games this weekend after staying pat at the trade deadline, which was silly. They opened with the 3-1 win over the Washington Capitals on Saturday, extending their home winning streak to 12 games, which is their longest since the 22-23 season. They followed up on Sunday with a 4:30 matchup against the Pittsburgh Penguins, looking to secure their first back-to-back win since the end of January. But unfortunately, they could not get the job done, and they ended up blowing a multi-goal lead in the third period and eventually losing in overtime within the first 17 seconds. It was an absolute collapse for a Boston Bruins team that needs every single win. Right now, the Bruins are sitting in the final wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference, and the schedule really doesn't get much easier for them. Only 8 of their final 19 games will be played on home ice, and we know they're not doing good on away ice. In Patriots news, the team moved on from Stephon Diggs after just 1 season. It's a move many people predicted, even back when he first signed last year. Because of this move, the Patriots will take on $9.7 million in dead cap, but they also free up $16.8 million in cap space, so it's a good thing for them on the books. With the new league year beginning March 11th, New England has some key decisions to make, especially with some of their internal free agents like Caleb Von Chason, safety Jalen Hawkins, and linebacker Jack Gibbons, who really came on strong late. And beyond that, the Patriots still need to address major holes along the offensive line, most notably within that wide receiver room and along the defensive front. They could certainly do well to bring in another pass rusher. I was sort of hoping that they would be in on the Max Crosby sweepstakes. However, 2 first-round picks is way too steep for a pass rusher. However, not knocking Baltimore. If you feel like you are just that away from winning it all, then you make that move. Right now, the Patriots enter free agency with about $55 million in cap space, which ranks 7th in the NFL. Go burn some cash, boys. Over in spring training, the Red Sox snapped a 3-game skid with their shortened 6-inning win over the Tampa Bay Rays on Saturday. One interesting storyline with the Boston Red Sox or in spring training is they have 15 players who are currently participating in the World Baseball Classic. Now, I didn't do my research, so I don't know precisely, but I wonder if that is the most of any Major League Baseball team who who has players playing in the World Baseball Classic. I think it's worth the look. But either way, 15 players is quite a lot. And that really has opened the door for a lot of younger players in the organization to get meaningful innings and at-bats during camp. And many of those younger guys are really making the most of it. And to wrap up the weekend recap, a quick look at college hoops around New England. In men's basketball, Northeast Conference number 2 seeded Central Connecticut was upset in the opening round of the Northeast Conference playoff by Wagner. Extremely tough loss for a program that enjoyed its best season since 2001 and is on quite a long drought from participating in the NCAA tournament. Pretty heartbreaking for them. The UMass Minutemen beat Ohio and ended a 6-game losing streak, a bad losing streak, earlier in the week behind a 31-point night from senior guard Marcus Banks. This win snuck them into 8th in the final spot in the MAC tournament, where they will take on the undefeated Miami of Ohio in the opening round of the bracket. Meanwhile, in the MAAC, Merrimack, the number 1 seed, just snuck past Marist to advance to the conference finals. And number 7 Fairfield is playing their semifinal match as I'm speaking now, so we'll have to check back in on that later tonight. In women's basketball, the number 1 seeded UConn Huskies beat Creighton Sunday to move into the Big East final, to absolutely no one's surprise. And the 25 seeded Fairfield Stags beat Merrimack Sunday to advance to the MAAC title. And lastly, the Rhode Island Rams beat George Mason on Sunday to win the A-10 and secure a spot in the NCAA tournament. All right, well, that was the weekend that was. Now let's shift gears to one of my favorite things in the world that is happening right now, and that's the World Baseball Classic. Listen, if you've been watching the World Baseball Classic, you've truly been treated to some incredibly fun baseball. I mean, this is some of the best baseball you're ever going to watch. It is the Baseball Olympics. I love the WBC. I tell everybody I love the WBC. And if you've watched the games, you know why it's easy to love the WBC. The energy from the players, man, the energy from the fans, even the umpires are into it. They're a part of the show. Their save calls, their out calls are quite a show. If you haven't tuned into the WBC, you're missing out. I ask you, I beg of you to turn on a game. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you are watching it and this tournament does not entertain you, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. You might be a zombie. But I digress. This weekend, we saw the first 2 walk-off home runs in WBC history. Kind of crazy to think about. The first came from Ozzie Albies, who sent the Netherlands past Nicaragua. The Netherlands were down to literally their final strike with nobody on base before Red Sox outfielder Cedar Rafaela blooped a Luis Gonzalez single into shallow right. If you're a Yankee fan, you probably get that reference. Then Xander Bogaerts chops a ball down the third base line that ricochets off the third base bag and puts the tying run on second, something that could only happen in baseball. And then moments later, Albies launches a 411-foot missile to walk it off. And wow, the energy was amazing. I mean, just some of the things that happened in the WBC, Ozzie Albies rounding third, slamming his helmet down, the excitement. You don't see that in Major League Baseball. There are unwritten rules in Major League Baseball in which you must respect the opponents, you must respect the grass in which you're running on and dirt in which you're trotting on, in which I fully support. But it is so refreshing to see this type of energy and just this type of passion in baseball, exactly like what we saw from Albies as he rounded third and headed home. It's tough to not feel terrible for the Nicaragua team, who were literally all on their knees at that point in disbelief and disappointment. But in the game of baseball, there's always a winner and there's always a loser, and Ozzie Albies made sure it was the Netherlands. We're not done, though. Just hours later, Puerto Rico pulled off a very similar thriller. This game went to extra innings. It was back and forth. Take the lead, lose the lead, take the lead, lose the lead. Tie game before A's prospect Darryl Hernandez crushed a 370-foot walk-off home run to left field in front of the home crowd in Puerto Rico. That's what's so crazy about it. They're playing in Puerto Rico, and he hits a walk-off home run in Puerto Rico. The stadium absolutely exploded. And my favorite shot from the night was this camera angle behind home plate where the entire frame was literally shaking from the crowd. It was like an earthquake was happening. I mean, just the level of pride and excitement in that stadium during that home run. Sheesh. That's the kind of energy baseball should have at all times. And that's what the World Baseball Classic brings. And that's why I love it so damn much. Now, another great storyline from the WBC has been young players and sons of former major leaguers who are making their mark. On Friday, Lucas Ramirez, the son of Red Sox legend Manny Ramirez, who should be a Hall of Famer, however, that's a conversation for another day, hit a home run in the very first at-bat of the tournament for Brazil. And I'll admit, maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but the name didn't strike a bell. The name didn't strike a bell to me until they said it. In the moment they said this was Lucas Ramirez, Manny Ramirez's son, I nearly fell out of my chair. I mean, wow, what a moment. Then you had Joseph Contreras, the son of former pitcher Jose Contreras, becoming the youngest player in the tournament at 17 years old. He's a high schooler. And he forced Aaron Judge into an inning-ending double play. A high schooler. How many high schoolers right now playing baseball dream about getting Aaron Judge to ground into a double play? Joseph Contreras did it at 17 years old. What a moment. But maybe my favorite pitching performance of the weekend came from Angels prospect Nahir Victor. And I really hope I said his first name right. If I didn't, I apologize. But he pitches for Great Britain. Victor struck out Aaron Judge, MVP, Bryce Harper, MVP, Gunnar Henderson, All-Star, Roman Anthony, future MVP. 4 in a row. Struck out all 4 of them in a row. What? That's a pretty ridiculous resume line for a young pitcher like him. What easily my favorite pitching performance of the weekend. Now, meanwhile, Japan continues to dominate their pool, remaining undefeated so far in the tournament as the only team at 3-0. And, of course, leading the charge is Shohei Ohtani, who has been doing Shohei Ohtani things, as he always does. Ohtani is the greatest baseball player to ever live and will continue to be the greatest baseball player to ever live. There will never be anyone greater. Not only is Ohtani the greatest baseball player to live, he is the greatest athlete in all of sports, and you can't change my mind, so don't try. On top of that, Masataka Yoshida has been producing lately. He's got 2 home runs so far in the Classic. Hopefully this is a sign of good things to come in a Red Sox uniform this season, or possibly, valuable trade leverage if Boston decides to move him and clear the $37 million that they owe him over the next 2 seasons. Either way, great thing. Love the Classic. Now, speaking of the Red Sox, here's one roster question a lot of fans have been asking this spring, including myself. Should Marcelo Mayer make the Red Sox roster? Personally, I don't think so. Right now, Mayer's hitting 200 in spring training. Across 44 Major League games, he's hitting 228 with the 272 OBP and a 400 slugging percentage. There's also that nagging injury history that we can't just ignore. And it's concerning. He's a young guy and has been injured almost every single year of his professional career. Now, I keep hearing he's gotten stronger, faster. And yes, he's hit 1 home run and 10 at-bats this spring. I'll give him that. But he's also struck out 3 times. And he really hasn't been on base enough yet to show his speed. Now, to be clear, I sound like a pessimist. But to be clear, I absolutely believe Marcelo Mayer is the shortstop of the future in Boston. I think he's going to be a star. I just think the best move right now is letting him start the season in Worcester, get comfortable at the plate, build momentum. Meanwhile, guys like IKF and Andrew Monasterio and eventually Romy Gonzalez can hold down second base early in the season. Let Mayer develop, let him produce, and then bring him up when he's truly ready. I mean, that's the right play. There's no rush. He's still a kid. And we all know how much the Red Sox front office loves to manipulate service time. Marcelo starting the season in AAA will make a better Marcelo for the 2026 Boston Red Sox. Mark my words. Alrighty, my I-91ers, this is the last segment, and it is upon us. It's about time to wrap this show up. But before we do, let's talk about the week to come and what to watch. The Celtics play away twice this week, Tuesday at San Antonio and Thursday at the number 1 seeded Thunder, before coming home on Saturday to play the Wizards. The Bruins will look to continue their home winning streak Tuesday and Thursday, hosting both the LA Kings and San Jose Sharks. Hopefully they get back on track because the Bruins are desperate to rattle off some wins. The new NFL League year and free agency begins on Wednesday, March 11th, so we should expect the Patriots to make a few early splashes. If they don't, that's a fail in my books. The Boston Red Sox continue spring training with games every day this week except for Wednesday. And also some notable WBC games this week, beginning with the Battle of the Unbeatens. Puerto Rico versus Cuba at 7 p.m. Monday on FS1. Also, Mexico versus U.S. at 8 p.m. Monday on Fox. We got Italy in the U.S. on Tuesday at 9 p.m. on FS1. And Canada versus Puerto Rico at 7 p.m. on Tubi on that same Tuesday. And then what's shaping out to be a juggernaut of a game between Venezuela and the Dominican Republic on Wednesday at 8 p.m. also on FS1. The WBC then takes a break on Thursday before returning on Friday with a 4-game slate of the World Baseball Classic quarterfinal. I can't wait. Now this week in college basketball, UMass Lowell takes on the number 1 ranked UMBC, and Vermont faces NJIT, both in the American East semifinals on Tuesday. Boston University will play Lehigh in the Patriot League final on Wednesday. The UMass Minutemen face off against the undefeated Miami of Ohio in the opening round of the MAC tournament on Thursday. And finally, the UConn Huskies open up the Big East quarterfinals on Thursday as well. Now for the ladies, the number 1 seeded UConn Huskies will face Villanova in the Big East final Monday. The 25 seeded Fairfield Stags will face Quinnipiac Monday for the NAAC title. The Vermont Catamounts will play UMBC in the semifinal round of the American East tournament Monday as well. And finally, the UMass Minutewomen will kick off their bid for a MAC title on Wednesday versus Toledo. Well, there you have it. We have a packed week, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy it all. We'll be back Friday for an episode of Freestyle Fridays. We've got the weekly recap. We've got movie reviews in a very, very special segment I like to call Screw Eversource. 91 out. Peace.